Welcome everybody. This is Sherry Joy Collier and I'm in my art studio in East Tennessee and I'm getting ready to do an art journaling page about the promise of God to give our life purpose. So I'm kind of doing this whole series of the promises of God. I've got 8 different promises I'm working my way through, and today the art journaling page is going to be about God's purpose, that He gives us purpose for our lives. So the verse, and I've already written it with a black Sharpie on my art journaling page. I decided to go ahead and write it out first today. For we are His workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand, that we should walk in them. Ephesians 2:10. So I hope that in this new year, this is actually the 6th day of January in 2025, I hope that you will take encouragement that God has promised to give our life purpose. There are specific good works for each one of us to do that He has prepared beforehand, which is pretty exciting when you think about it. Our unique personality, our unique blend of skills, gifts, traits, talents. He can use it all, and He does use every bit of it, and I love that promise. And I wanted to do, for some weird reason, I thought of a chicken, and this might actually be a rooster. I'm not sure. I think it's a rooster because of all this stuff. So somebody in the comments tell me if this is a chicken or a rooster. I drew this on ahead of time. I wanted to not let this video go too long, so I'm just going to grab my background colors. For this chicken, I'm just going to throw some light blue craft paint and some lime green for the grass, a little bit of Hauser dark green I'm going to throw in there as well. And let's grab our paintbrush. So let's see here. What paintbrush do I want to start with? This one might be a good one to start with. So I'm going to just get right into my my blue and just kind of start putting in some blue sky. Let's see here. I actually think I'm going to put some white on the plate as well. I always use white for mixing in a lot of things. I'm going to put a good generous amount there. And in some of these spots, I will lighten the sky a little bit with the white. And in some of the spots, I will keep it this light blue. So I'm just kind of wisping it on. Whisk, 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 whisk. Just grabbing some white and whisking it in. And I kind of wanted to keep this painting a little bit smaller today. I don't want to take up the whole page like I have, in the past. Just for sake of time, really. These videos get so very long, and I know that we're all busy and no one wants to sit around and watch a very, very long video. So I thought, okay, let's keep this as short as we possibly can. So I'm just gonna get this sky in here really quick. And I'm kind of been thinking a lot about my own purpose. And I know for a fact that God put in my heart the desire to paint with acrylics, to make art, and to also teach others how to use art, not only to paint, pretty things or things that we enjoy looking at, but also for just the sheer joy and therapy of it. It's very, very therapeutic. I was I've been a marriage and family therapist for over 25 years, and one of the extra trainings that I took was expressive arts therapy, and I used to hold retreats, and we would just literally make the kind of art that was expressive in nature. It didn't have to look pretty. It didn't have to look like anything at all. It was just whatever would kind of express some of the emotions that people were dealing with. And it was really fun, these workshops. It was great to see the women that were at the workshops interact, not only with their own emotions and with God, about those emotions and painting about the emotions. We didn't just paint, we did a lot of different things. We used chalk pastels, we did collage, we broke glass and we made stuff with that. I mean, we just did a whole bunch of different types of art, and it was a lot of fun, but it was also very challenging because of all the materials required. So now I've kind of made things a little easier on myself by limiting to just acrylic paints. And that way I have far less supplies to worry about. So I'm kind of pulling this blue down here, even though this is gonna actually be where the grass is. I'm just kind of pulling it in here a little bit. Now I'm gonna pull some more white in and just kind of lighten up some of these patches of the sky. I don't want it to be so dark everywhere. And I'm not taking a ton of time with this, just kind of going every which way and letting the brush strokes show, kind of like you would see a streak here and there in the sky of a cloud or something, just kind of allowing that to be very loosely insinuated. Okay, let's kind of pull in some of that lighter. And one thing I will tell you too is when these paints dry, they are definitely gonna dry darker than they looked when they were wet. Something to keep in mind. So I'm really pulling in the white here. So we'll get that white right up around here too. Okay, now let's pull that brush stroke out a little bit and just kind of get some brush strokes going every direction. And we'll pull a couple of lighter brush strokes in here too. Okay, there. Now I'm gonna go ahead and wash this, and I'm gonna pull in my green. And I think I'm gonna start with that dark green. I'm just gonna kind of touch it in a few places. And I have a photograph that I'm working from. So there's just a couple of dark patches in the grass. I'm just gonna kind of patch it in a few spots. I'll have to come over the top later and do some more details. Now I'm gonna go for the lime. And boy, that is a bright green, but it is pretty. So I may have to darken that lime color up a little bit, but that dark underneath it's gonna show through. And that was kind of the plan. And I'm just gonna kind of flick this upward, try to keep it uneven. I don't want it, you know how grasses are just, especially the natural grasses out in the field. Just covering this bottom half now. Let's grab more of that lime green. Okay, and I'm just gonna, again, kind of flick my wrist up and get that grass coming upward into the blue. Okay, let's do a little bit more over here. And again, I don't even have to do the whole page, just kind of a little bit. I'm gonna come back in with some of that dark and just kind of plop it in. In fact, I might even try to, nope, this brush is too fat for that. So I'm just gonna kind of do this again. Let's flick it up here though. And I may come over it later and put in more light again. But for now, just kind of working in some of the darker grasses. And you can, the whole idea of this art journaling exercise, by the way, I realize I haven't really said much about it. The whole idea of it is to just take some sort of image that kind of reminds you of God's promise or the Bible verse that you're working with. And put the two together, right? The verse or the biblical principle, doesn't have to just be a verse. And put the two together, and the whole purpose is to help you remember it, because visually, if we have a nice little reminder picture, it'll stick in our brain better. And I find that it helps with memorizing scripture. It helps with just a lot of things. So, okay, I've got enough down here right at the moment to call that good. I'm going to shift gears. I'm going to pick a different brush. I think I'm going to start with this little itty bitty one. And this chicken or rooster is kind of a creamy white and a stark white tail. And there's definitely a lot of black going on. So I'm going to work in the, let's see, I think I'm going to put down the white first. Oh, I already have white on my plate. Let's put a little black on here on the plate. And I don't really need that much black, but I'm going to kind of come in and just like some of these feathers are black. And I'm just going to patch in a few of them. And there's kind of a lot more of the white going on than the black. There's kind of a nice patch of black going on right here. So I'm just kind of putting in like a few. And up here, there's just like little splotches of black. He's got some feathers that kind of stick out in a few spots. There's definitely a whole black patch happening down here. I'm just doing my best to kind of eyeball it and get some of these feathers in here. There's a black feather under there. And there's some black feathers coming in down here. This whole little curly feather is black. And there's actually, right down here, there's actually quite a bit of black feathers. Quite a few. So I'm just kind of laying those in. And he's got like a few little splotches on his legs of the black. And we'll just kind of pull in some of this black down here as well. And then there's some here. Just kind of giving there an outline, little outline to the leg and the foot. And let's see, there's a little tiny patch of black up here. And there's definitely more black going on here. And some, I'm gonna get my pointed side and just kind of stipple in a few dots, a few splotches. Where else are there splotches? So there's definitely splotches on the chest. And the rest is very white. So I'm gonna come in, once that black dries, I'm gonna come in with the white. There's some black feathers going on down there too. I think I'm gonna pull out a black feather right there too. I'm going to come in with the white and go over the top of that. So let's turn our attention to that wonderful red thing on the top of his head. I do have some red right here, and it's going to be pretty bright. So I might need to dim that red down a little bit. But let's just start with it just pure red. And let's just get this this comb in here. So there's this whole little comb action going on. So who likes chickens? Anybody? Do you have chickens? If you do, put that in the comments and tell me. I have a good friend at church who has a lot of chickens, and she provides me with their eggs. And oh, let me tell you, they're the best eggs. Far better than anything you can get at the grocery store. She raises them in the grass, you know, so they're not locked in to a building. They have access to sun and food and water and the whole kit and caboodle. Okay, he's got red down here too. So I'm just gonna see if I can't get that in without making it look too weird. He's got red on his face too. This whole face is actually red, but I am gonna mix a little black and then a little white. So what I did is I took this red that's in my brush, put some black. Let's see what that white looks like in it. I don't know. I probably actually need to warm it up more than I need to cool it down. Let's see about some orange. So I've got yellow sitting right here. Oh, it's fluorescent yellow though. That won't work. Okay, let's see. Do I have a different yellow that would warm this up? Warm up this red. Sorry about that, folks. Let's see, we've got India yellow, India hue. I'm just gonna put a little squirt of that right on my plate. That will definitely warm up that red. So we'll take that red, pull it there, pull the India hue. Now we've got our nice warm kind of orange hue. Let's warm it up even more. And now I'm just really kind of mixing it all together. Okay, so let's pull in. This is actually much taller right here. So I want to make that a little bit more pronounced. Same thing with that one. Okay, then I'm going to take my white and mix it in with this orangey color and see if I can't get his little face. Let's just go ahead and color in the whole thing. To start with, we'll come back and put the eye on later. Okay, and then his beak is yellow, so I'm gonna dip into that yellow and just pull his little beak right there. Okay, we'll pull our black in for his eye. Here's his beady little eye, which we can come and put a dot on later. Okay, now let's get into our creamy color. So I have that India hue. I might take just a tiny, tiny bit of that India hue and mix it in with the white that's up here. Just to warm that white up so it's a little bit more of a cream color. And then I'm gonna come in and I'm just gonna lay down white feathers right over top. And it's okay if it covers the black. The black will show through and it'll be there for my eye to see later. And then I can go in and I can pull that black back out again. Okay, I got a little black on my brush. That black didn't dry all the way. Yeah, definitely did not dry all the way. Let's see, let's start over. I'm gonna rinse this brush again real good. And I'm gonna come over here and get that kind of that warm white, and let's come over the top of that. I'm gonna have to wait for that to dry because it's turning gray on me. So we'll let that dry. And this feather right here is really, really white. There's really not any of that warm hue to it at all. So I'm gonna go straight into the white. That's a really big glob of white there. Pull that in. Right around those other black feathers that I already laid in there. So there's his nice white feathers. Just kind of letting that spill over. Now let's pull a little bit of the white in down here. Trying to cover over some of that gray that I got in there. Okay. That's actually probably just perfect. Come back in. Let's do that. Pull that feather in a little bit more feathery, if that makes any sense. And then there's kind of some light white feathers that come right into that black spot. So I'm just gonna touch a little bit of white into some of those darker feathers. Now I've got black on my brush again, which is fine. So now I'm just kind of pulling back into the white some of those black feathers. And I might even put like a little line in a few spots just to indicate, you know, how feathers are lighter and darker based on, you know, where they're hanging out. Okay, I'm gonna leave that alone. I might put the tiniest, tiniest, tiniest white dot. Like so tiny. Like you can't even see that. Okay, so for now, that is it. I don't want to drag this video on any longer, but I would love to hear from you and see even if you do your own art journal page with an image that you think of when you think of a unique purpose. This chicken or a rooster, if it were a chicken, its unique purpose would be to provide eggs, you know, for not only its young, but for us. So a unique purpose in the chicken. I love that. So enjoy your art journal page, and I'm gonna sign off. I hope y'all have a great week. Bye-bye.